What's going on? This is Gengar's Watch List, and we are back with the weekly anime review. I watch a lot of anime every week, and what I do is I go through how I am feeling about each of those anime as the weeks progress. I would say we're in the second week of the summer anime season right now. There's some that overlap and all that kind of thing, but I'm watching roughly 24 different anime at the moment. And so this, I hope, will help you when if you're trying to figure out what you want to watch. If there's something that maybe I feel like it's worth you going and checking out, spending the time on, and maybe others that maybe just put it on the back burner. You can still go check it out, but it might not be one to, use your precious time for at that moment. Now, let's start getting right into it. I've got them ordered from my favorite currently based on the most recent week down to my least favorite. There's even one that I've already probably decided to drop. So let's get into these. So the first one actually moved up on my list this week. We've got Kaiju Girl Caramelize. I love this anime. I mean, so far I really like it, and it's not what it's something that I will watch, but it's not something it's not like my bread and butter type of anime. Like, I really like fantasy, isekai, that kind of thing, but this is much more of a romance slice of life, but you've got this like kaiju element in it. I definitely recommend checking this one out. It's got a great humor side of it. Second episode was fantastic, added a new character that I really, really liked. Definitely recommend checking this one out. All right, let's move to number 2. I was so happy to see this anime return. I absolutely loved it in its initial season. I really, really recommend, if you have not watched Clevatess, if you have not watched season 1, go back and check it out. I feel like it got kind of missed when that season was coming out. I just never really saw too many people talking about it. You can see it's got a high rating on Crunchyroll, 4.8 out of 5, which, I mean, Crunchyroll ratings, take it for what it is, but I absolutely love this one. For me, the anime that end up like drifting towards the top of my list are ones that are giving me something unique, something new that I haven't seen before. And this one is about basically a demon lord that ends up more or less adopting a baby to raise, to kind of see if it has hope about the world, is a world worth saving. But I love the characters in this. I love the storyline. And so far, we're in season 2 now, episode 1, and seemed like it's carrying forward from what it was. Really recommend checking out Clevatess. If you haven't watched season 1, go back and watch season 1. All right, now number 3. I didn't have this one on my list last week just because I wasn't really sure if I wanted to put in ones that are kind of like running from almost like a prior season, but this is that time I got reincarnated as a slime. We're in season 4. This is a much longer season than what you get with a lot of anime. I believe it's going to be 24 episodes, but we're in like episode 14 or 15 at this point. This is always a solid, fun watch. That's why it's always near the top of people's lists. It's getting so many seasons. One thing you have to be aware with it is that it does have periods of like slowness, where it's more just like slice of life between some of the more high action, high quality animation, battle scenes, that kind of thing. So it starts off like in the first couple seasons, you're getting a lot more of that high action, and it really slows down as you get more into the kingdom building. And that's really where we are now. This last episode was okay. It was Diablo adding some new characters to the group. But I enjoyed it. This is always like pretty much a safe watch. You're pretty much just going to enjoy it as you're going along. And if you haven't seen it before, start from the beginning. You got to start from the beginning, but again, highly recommend. That's why it's up here at number 3 right now on my list. All right, now we've got Demons of the Shadow Realm. This falls into the same boat. I hadn't included it last week. It's another one that I believe is running 24 episodes. We're in like episode 14 or 15. This is done by the same creator that did. Oh, why am I blanking on it? Same creator that did Full Metal Alchemist. That's right, Full Metal Alchemist. It's not the same show or anything as Full Metal Alchemist, but I really like, again, the character design. It's something that just feels completely new, and that's what I'm going for. Like, when it's all the other stuff will trickle down towards the bottom when it just feels like it's a repeat of something you've seen before. But Demons of the Shadow Realm you've got basically characters that control these demons, They all have different powers, unique abilities. You've got kind of this battle that's going on for two of the characters, and I've enjoyed this entire season so far. This latest episode continued that. It is fairly violent if that's something that you don't want, to show for like for yourself or for your kids or whatever. It is fairly violent, but I do really like the show. I think it is. It's got great storyline so far, unique characters, and very solid animation. All right, moving on to number five. So number five here, we've got from Old Country Bumpkin to Swordmaster. This one's actually on High Dive. It is not on Crunchyroll. I've really enjoyed this anime. It's really like it's got great animation. It's got great action sequences. It is kind of like a slice of life type anime as well. I have really liked this one. This was the first episode of the new season. I didn't even realize this new season was coming out. I was just checking through like High Dive and that kind of thing, and I was like, oh, we've got a new episode of this show. And I remembered I had really enjoyed that first season. And second season is continuing on in the same way, where he's basically teaching at this the sword master is teaching at the school and kind of expanding on his roles there. Highly recommend it. Again, like great animation, great story, and season 2 seems to be continuing forward really well from that initial season. All right, moving on to number 6. This one actually fell down quite a bit on my list just for this week. I imagine it'll pick back up later. But this is Mushoku Tensei. This is season number 3. I had been under the impression that season 3 was really going to be focusing a lot more on Eris, but this episode went back to the main character, and it's just it felt like a recap episode more than anything, which it feels pretty early to get that. It wasn't a recap episode. It was, some new things, but it really just had this feeling like a recap episode. And so that's why I've kind of knocked it down from number 1 on my list for, this week to number 6. It's not like I'm going to stop watching it. I always really look forward to this. Every new episode that comes out of the show. It is one of my favorite anime from the last number of years, just because, like I mentioned in the prior video, it has a very unique new storyline. You've got this character that does have a lot of power. It is an isekai, but he is struggling through life. It's not just like he gets thrown in, he's automatically all powered up and he's just taking care of everything. He is struggling through life. It's more like what you would think, like maybe almost like a real person experiencing this, instead of just what you get with most isekai, which is the person just immediately is comfortable in that world and they're taking care of everything and they're all, great and perfect. And that's not what you get with this. This is a much more complicated person. And I really like that. Something unique. All right. Moving on to number 6. We have the first new episode of season 2 of Trapped in a Dating Sim. The world of otome games is tough for mobs. I really loved season 1. I am a little concerned about season 2 because I felt like season 1 it gave us it had such a, I don't know, it felt like it ended really well. And it's just like one of those anime where you worried like maybe it should have just ended at season 1, but we'll see. It kind of feels like maybe it's going to move on to kind of like more like a harem type, anime, which I mean is fine, but it's not really what I'm looking for. What I really like with this anime has been that I feel like the comedy level has been great. It knows what it is. And so I've enjoyed, I really love season 1. I mentioned I binged season 1 right before season 2 came out. First episode was fine. It didn't, blow me away or anything like that, but we'll see how this continues to go. And that's why, I've got it down at number 7, but this is out of 24. So, we've got quite a few here. All right. So moving on to number 8, we had the Saga of Tanya the Evil. I love that this anime is back. The first season was like 7 years ago, 8 years ago, might've been more than that. So it's been a while. I almost feel like I need to go back and rewatch season 1 because season 2 jumps right into it, no real reintroduction, no backstory or anything. And so that made it a little tough because it's been a while since I've seen this one. Animation was great. I mean, I generally remember the characters. That was they all felt in line with what you had before. But not having that backstory made it a little tough. And so, like I said, I don't want to hold that too much against it because that's not really the anime's fault. But because it's been so long since season one came out, kind of missed that. But if you haven't seen season one, I mean, this is a top tier anime. It is an isekai, but it is totally different from what you normally get. You've got this character that was reborn into this other world, but hates the entity that that caused them to be reborn there. But they're forced to pray to them to get power in this world. It's a really interesting story, really cool, really like it, and just again, quality animation storyline is something completely unique. So if you haven't seen season one, highly recommend it. Then roll into season two, and like I said, I may have to go back and rewatch season one. All right, number 9. This one I didn't talk about last time because I'm trying to get back into it. I'm not fully caught up, so I can't actually give you the review on the most recent episodes, but I've been working through them. I'm on like episode 5 or 6 or something like that right now. But this is Classroom of a Black Cat and a Witch. So it's a pretty funny anime. The thing you're going for this one is it is solid animation, but it's a comedy. Like this is straight comedy. And basically you've got this witch character who's very powerful, but for some reason, which we don't know yet, was turned into a cat. The main character, the main protagonist in this, has the ability to turn this character back into a human, but to do so, she has to kiss his butt, literally. And so it's just is very weird, but I've really enjoyed it so far. It's funny, it's making me laugh. I like the characters, and I'm interested to see like how did this character get turned into the cat? What else going on there? I want the history there. So definitely like this one, but I just started it, and so I'm not fully caught up yet, but it does have more episodes coming out right now. All right. Now for number 10, we've got Black Torch. I was actually thinking of maybe moving this up higher. I did really like episode 2 as well, but it didn't really, I don't know. The animation was fantastic. You got a little more backstory on this character, but I feel like we need to really get into the motivations of where this is going. So basically, this is a character that has the ability to talk to animals, also has like ninja abilities that they've been trained on. And in this world, there are these things called mononoke, and they are effectively kind of like spirits. I'd call them like spirits or demons. And they can interact with people, they impact the world, and there's basically a special force with the government that is tasked with handling them. And so this main character has been possessed by one of them, and so it's going to be what's his role with that entity. And I just feel like the story needs to speed along a little bit faster. I feel like we're getting hung up a little bit because we're 2 episodes in and we still don't know much. But yeah, I've generally liked it so far. That's why I've got it kind of in the middle right now. But I feel like we need something in season 3 to really get us into what this character is going to be doing moving forward. All right. Now we've got number 11. We've got A Livid Lady's Guide to Getting Even, How I Crushed My Homeland with My Mighty Grimoires. I've just seen the first episode so far, and I really liked it, but I'll say like the opening had a feeling like the anime May I Ask for One Final Thing. I don't know if you've seen that one, but if you haven't, that was maybe 2 seasons ago that came out. That was an amazing anime. I absolutely loved it. That one I would highly recommend. So May I Ask for One Final Thing, highly recommend that one. This one has a very similar feeling. Basically, it opens up with this main character being she was engaged to like a prince, and she's being tossed aside and like replaced with some other girl that's kind of like trying to like push her out. But she's actually very powerful, and she's very, responsible for helping the kingdom and everything. And so it's about her getting revenge for basically being turned on. And so I really like it so far. Through episode 1, I really like it. It's moving along quick. We're getting a good idea for the motivations of the character. Animation was solid. Character building seemed solid. So definitely recommend this one. I've got a little lower just because we've only got that 1 episode so far, and I want to see where it's going. All right, so now for number 12. This one actually moved up quite a bit on my list. This is The Frontier Lord Begins with Zero Subjects. I really enjoyed this second episode. We're starting, I I don't know, like initially with the main character, I felt like he might just be kind of a bland character that is just relying heavily on the people around him all the time. But I actually really enjoyed the second episode, how they built on that character's motivations. You're starting to get introduced to some other people that know him, some people around him. And some potential conflict has been added. So I really enjoyed the second episode. I'm looking forward to the third episode of this one. I would recommend checking out The Frontier Lord. Begins with 0 subjects, and at least get into that second episode. You know, if you, because like I said, the first episode felt kind of bland, but I would give the second episode at a minimum a shot. All right, now we're going back to High Dive for number 13, and this is Hell Mode. The hardcore gamer dominates in another world with garbage balancing. This one, I just watched this one because I don't know, it's just kind of like a fun, easy, mindless watch. You know, the character's overpowered. You know, he's going to be overpowered and take care of everything whenever a problem comes up. He rarely runs into a situation he can't handle. But it's still generally enjoyable. This is definitely a middle of the road anime for me. I feel like it helps justify my High Dive subscription that I have to pay. So I know I keep watching it. Like High Dive has a mix of like some stuff that just isn't very good, but it has some decent ones in there. So I keep the subscription. But yeah, I mean, if you're just looking for something to kind of like be able to just mindlessly watch, go check it out. It's not bad. It's not great. But it's entertaining enough. All right, moving on to number 14. This one fell down on my list a little bit. So this is From Overshadowed to Overpowered, second reincarnation of a talentless sage. So yeah, this one fell down a little bit. This character has now jumped into being so overpowered for their world. I'm not sure exactly what they're going to do with the character to make this interesting for an entire season. That's my big concern there. This is definitely the type of anime that the kind of is like my like bread and butter for what I like to watch. It's, it's fantasy, it's isekai, it's, reborn guy, it's all overpowered and all that kind of stuff. But it just doesn't necessarily feel like it's got something real unique to it. So absolutely an anime that I'm sure I will watch the entire season, but it doesn't have anything that's really like drawing me in with it. All right, now for number 15, we've got The Exiled Heavy Knight Knows How to Game the System. I would say the second episode was better than the first, but again, it has just a very generic feel to it. And so this is the type of one where if you've got time to watch these, like I feel like you're going to enjoy it. But it does feel very generic. It doesn't have something that makes it unique. It's a character that's going to be overpowered, not necessarily overpowered yet. They know how to like they're basically reborn in this world. They know how to use the rules to advance quickly. And we're continuing to see that with the second episode. It didn't add a lot more to it. I would like to see some additional characters added to whoever's going to be joining his team to see how that plays out. But again, I feel like it's not going to be something that's super unique. Maybe it will, but just doesn't feel that way. Feels pretty generic, but I mean, it's the type of stuff I'll still watch. All right, now we have number 16. I almost wanted to put this lower, but I feel like it would be unfair if I didn't try to at least assess it on its own. So this is called Tomb Raider King. This is basically a straight copy of Solo Leveling. I mean, when you look at it, like the main character looks just like the main character from Solo Leveling. It's got these like the regular like human world is having portals, pop up in the world where people are going in and fighting monsters. They have special powers, it's just it is exactly Solo Leveling, but with worse animation. So it has very similar plot points, but worse animation. If it had come out without Solo Leveling, if Solo Leveling didn't exist, I'd probably maybe have it a little higher. It would be something that'd be interesting, be like, oh, that's a unique idea. But you are going to be constantly comparing this to Solo Leveling, which is one of the most popular anime in the world right now. So that's going to be a struggle for this one. I'm sure I'll continue to watch it, but yeah, it almost feels like a beat for beat copy of Solo Leveling. All right, moving on to the next one. this is where we've got a few in a row where they you can tell these are all they're turning into just generic fantasy or isekai or whatever OP anime. The first one, we've got The Villager of Level 999. It's just checking the boxes. You know, again, like these next few, I'm gonna be saying like they're ones that if you've got a bunch of free time and it's the style that you like, you know, fantasy, overpowered main characters, that kind of thing, magic, then you know you might enjoy it. You'll probably enjoy it. I'm sure I'll continue to watch it, but doesn't really have anything that's making it unique. And it really feels like even after just 2 episodes or we're 3 episodes in now, it's starting to fall into that traditional or into just like checking the boxes for this type of anime. And very similar with the next one, The World's Strongest Rear Guard. This seems like it's just going to become probably like a harem overpowered fantasy magic isekai standard anime. Like that's all I'm getting out of it. Like I don't have a lot more to say on it. It's just these ones, like I said, I'll always enjoy in general this type of anime, but it's not going to be at the top of my list. It's not going to be a super priority for me to watch it with my, you know, with my free time, but I will watch them. And that's how I kind of feel about him. And getting the same thing here. You know, you've got the main character, he's adding new people to his party, but it's just, you know, it's attractive women and that kind of stuff. And that's what it is. That's what you want, then, you know, this is for you. Then we have got the insipid Prince's furtive grab for the throne. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. It kind of feels like the main character is trying to be like the main character from Eminence in Shadow. Now, if you haven't watched Eminence in Shadow, that's on High Dive. That is amazing. It is so good. It's hilarious. Animation is fantastic. Just crazy plot points and everything. That in Eminence in Shadow, I highly recommend you checking out. This just feels like the character's trying to be like that main character. He's overpowered. He's I don't know. It's just we're really only 1 episode in, and I don't really know what to say about it, other than it feels cookie cutter, overpowered character trying to live, you know, a calm life, you know, and the you know like an easy life, but he wants his twin brother to like take on the all the responsibility, so he's trying to do what he can to make sure he takes on that like bigger roles. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Again, it's the type of thing I'll enjoy. I'll continue to watch, but it's not high up on my list. Now we've got I became a legend after my 10-year long last stand. This one definitely is again falling into the check in the boxes of an overpowered main character. Probably feels like it's going to be a harem type anime. You know, like it's just it is what it is. You know, I guess you could say it knows what it is and it's just following those beats. And second episode felt like that's what it's going to be. I don't really see anything super unique at this point with it. I mean, if that changes, you know, if we get some big, you know, big change moving forward, I'll definitely mention that and say, you know, I call that out. But so far feels like it's just checking the boxes. All right. Now we've got another one from High Dive. Or no, maybe this one was straight Amazon Prime. I think this one's straight on Amazon Prime. So this is the new season of Ghost in the Shell, or remake, I guess you'd call it, re-release, or whatever you want to call it, Ghost in the Shell. I mean, you can see I've got this far down on the list. Now, I love the early, like the original Ghost in the Shell. I didn't like how this was done, personally, so far at least. I don't even know if I'm going to go back for more episodes. One, I don't love the animation style. It's very different from what we've gotten with Ghost in the Shell in the past. It's more cartoony. It's not bad, but it's a little more cartoony. The other thing is they just like jump straight into things with very little explanation. And it's like assuming that you know all these characters, but this is also in a different world. Like the universe feels completely different from the Ghost in the Shell that we know in terms of the roles they're playing. So I didn't love that. I feel like if they were going to go that route, they needed a little more intro into these characters, and you're not getting it. So we'll see how this goes. But yeah, I did not love that first episode. It kind of felt like you just get tossed into the fire, you know, and it didn't work for me. But we'll see. You know, I'll probably give it another shot, but this one is definitely low down on my priority list. All right, jumping back to uh jumping back to, oh, let's see, we've got one that I actually am thinking of dropping. So this is number 22, and this is recommendation from Iwamoto Senpai. And I haven't even watched the second episode. The first episode I had mentioned, I basically like kind of was struggling to even stay awake in it. So I'm just not super motivated to watch the second episode. So this one may be falling off my list. You see, I've got 24 different anime that I'm watching. And so like I don't, if something isn't really interesting to me, the likelihood of me keeping it on is pretty low. And that's kind of how this one felt. But we'll see. All right, now jumping to number 23. This is one I'm not sure how I feel about it. I don't think this is really my style, like what I'm looking for when I'm watching anime. This is Jadugar, A Witch in Mongolia. Now, it is a very highly rated manga. And so this has been very, highly anticipated in release. But I only watched the first episode and it's very slow. It's basically historical fiction. I believe it's taking place. It's supposed to be taking place in Iran, and it's basically about this girl who has been taken on as a slave by this family, and they are educating her. And it's about there's a lot of tragedy that happens, and then what's going to happen with her life moving forward. She's not really a witch. Like that's a little bit like it may be confusing there. The witch in this is that she's like studying science and becoming learned and all that kind of thing. So it could potentially be good. It could be one that I go back to. I don't know. I really wasn't all that interested during that first episode, and so I didn't push to the second or obviously the third. So I may go back to it, but probably not. This may be for you though. This is just a completely different type of anime than what I'm normally interested in or watching. So you may want to go check this one out. I'm not going to say it's bad. Like it's not bad. It's just not necessarily for me. And so if you like the type of anime that I like, and that's kind of really where you're at, this one may not be for you. It's not a comedy or anything like that. It's much more serious. And that's not I mean sometimes I'm looking for that in an anime, but that's not usually what I'm looking for. All right, now for the final one, I'm just pointing this one out because the second episode wasn't out yet when I finished my watch or my watches and everything. So normally I would have expected that second episode to be out, but I think maybe they pushed the release date for at least episode 2, or maybe they changed the day that they're going to be dropping these moving forward. But this is Skeleton Knight in Another World. It's actually higher up on my list normally, but the reason I've got it down here is because I can't rate the second episode yet because it isn't out yet. But I said this before, like it's just kind of like a feel good type anime, a slice of life, but it's got decent animation. It's enjoyable. It's an isekai. It's all that kind of stuff. But it's a middle of the road anime for me. But I imagine the second episode is gonna be fine. But I've got it down here because I wasn't able to watch that second episode yet. That's all of them. That's all 24. Hopefully this helps you in your process maybe of trying to decide which anime you might want to watch, might want to check out. And like I said, my goal is to do this every week. The ones that I'm watching, if I drop them, they'll fall off the list. I'll move them around based on how I felt that week's episode was. But hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff really helps the channel. And I will see you on the next one.